I think it's important that we remind you how good things are going. I know people are so negative lately. It's just not what are you talking about? Inflation is cooling. The border's completely secure. The economy is much better than people would imagine. The market is up. We are in a historic hot streak. President Donald Trump has ended 3 wars and hopefully a 4th. I understand that when you're dealing with Hamas, it's not exactly easy to get them to agree to a ceasefire. But yesterday, President Donald Trump got Israel to agree to a ceasefire. That's a big deal. Yesterday, President Donald Trump quoted, "My representatives had a long and productive meeting with the Israelis today on Gaza. Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire, during which time we'll work with all parties to end the wars. The Qataris and Egyptians, good sign, who worked very hard to help bring peace, will help deliver the final proposal. I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas takes this deal, because if not, it will not get better. It will only get worse," he says in all caps. And one of my favorite sentences, "Thank you for the attention to this matter." We need to take a step back, everybody. If you watch most of the media, they make it seem as if the Trump administration is in free fall. He has win after win and victory after victory right now. And this is not just spin. This is not just hopium. It's real stuff. Supreme Court injunctions. Yesterday, by the way, President Donald Trump was able to broker a deal with the University of Pennsylvania, revoking all of the national championships that the male William Thomas won when he was a swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania. Supreme Court comes in and clarifies the nationwide injunctions. We have a mass deportation agenda well underway, where yesterday Tom Homan told us that we're deporting 2,000 people a day, and it's only going to go up from here. As of this morning, we also have a massive trade deal with Vietnam, a huge trade partner for clothing and textiles. And I know a lot of friends, very close friends, that were watching this one closely. And this one is a major victory for the country. Phenomenal. Understand that this is just the beginning. We have military recruitment going up. We have finally national morale trending in the correct direction. He goes to NATO, and President Trump goes to NATO. NATO calls him daddy. And not to mention, there were so many people in the midst of the Iranian thing that did not trust President Trump. Now, we had concerns on this program about how engaging in Iran could enter into a potential Middle East quagmire, but we always ended almost every single ex-post and every single program, but we trust President Trump. We were very clear, repeated. In fact, people were making fun of us. They said, "Charlie, why is that like your salutation?" I said, well, we trust President Trump because he has earned our trust. We denied and rejected the binary, and we found a third way of how to explain it. And President Trump pioneered the MAGA doctrine, the Trump doctrine. And if you spend too much time chronically online, you'd think that things are just overly negative. It seems as if the one who complains the most, the one who is the most negative, and the one who is the most cynical seems to just spend all their time staring at a laptop screen. But in fact, the regular, everyday Americans, the rank and file, the people that are the base of MAGA, the everyday patriots, they're realizing what President Trump is doing. And yes, he does deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. By the way, we didn't even talk about this one. Last Friday, in a buried news item over the weekend, that's right, in his spare time, President Donald Trump ended another war. The Congo-Rwanda war. Over 7,000 people killed. They were using machetes, cutting people's heads off. And he ended it by using American diplomatic power, the U.S. dollar, coming in and ending the Congo-Rwandan war. President Trump is more popular than ever. Gas is at a 4-year low. The stock market is at record high. Everybody, whether you realize it or not, you're starting to live through the golden age. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that we need to improve. We need to balance our budget. We need to cut our deficit. We need to take back control of our cities. But I want you to understand that if you are in a negative state, then that is because you are choosing to be in that negative cycle. You are making a conscious decision to find the errors and not the positives. Putin is even saying relations with America are improving, which may be the key to ending the Russian-Ukrainian war. We'll see. Right now, it's a summer of killing, the likes of which that is very hard to witness. Don't be allergic to winning. Don't have a reluctance or recalcitrance to embracing that we have actual verified victories and a series of wins in front of us. We lived in the wilderness for so long, it's almost hard to even say that things are getting better. But a lot of this is what we voted for. And it's just the beginning, everybody. Embrace the fact that President Trump is ending wars, that the economy is materially improving. Embrace the fact that the border is totally and completely secure. And for those that don't just stare at their screens all day long about what is negative, oh my goodness, it turns out the American people are more behind President Trump than ever before. Play cut 329.
Trump endorsees won the GOP primary for governor and congressional races. Look at this. 2024, 96%. 2022, 95%. 2020, 98%. The bottom line is this. 95% plus of the time, the Trump endorsed candidate wins in GOP primaries. And even in the cases where Donald Trump endorses a challenger to an incumbent, the majority of the time, that challenger wins. So Donald Trump is a winner in Republican primaries. You go against Donald Trump, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go in the grinder. Donald Trump is the key nugget. His endorsement is the key nugget in a GOP primary because he's historically strongly popular with the GOP
And now
base.
there's going to be a surprise primary in North Carolina, so we will be watching that, of course.
That is Harry Enton from CNN. There's another clip that I'll play in a second here. And then it all transitions to the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill is now in front of the U.S. House of Representatives. And we have Chip Roy coming on later in the program, and we're going to discuss this with him, because he has some good faith objections to the bill, and he wants more changes. But at this point, I don't know if that's even realistic. At some point, you're not going to be able to get something done because you have the moderates just getting it through the Senate. I hope everyone understands the accomplishment of how difficult that was in the Senate. We had 3 people vote against us, but not the 3 that you would have imagined. Susan Collins, okay, fine. But remember, Susan is always there. Senator Collins is there when we need her. Turns out we didn't need her. And she's in cycle. So what happened is that she traded her vote with Lisa Murkowski. They're very close, kind of the moderate women of the Republican conference in the U.S. Senate. This, again, I have a lot of respect for Susan Collins. I get so much hate mail. It's because she's always there when we need her. But now she can go back to Maine and be like, well, I actually voted against Trump. And in reality, she wanted to see it pass. She's very savvy, that one. We needed her with Kavanaugh, and she stepped up for Kavanaugh. Whenever we need Susan Collins, she is there. If not, she's got to preserve her seat. And in a lot of ways, you can't blame her. So Rand Paul voted against the bill. Okay. He says he never vote for a debt ceiling increase. That's his prerogative. But then Susan Collins, the third of which was so surprising for a lot of us, Tom Tillis. What motivates that guy? What makes him tick? Well, then in order to get it through the Senate, we had to get Ron Johnson and we had to get Lisa Murkowski. Everybody. And that was just at a 50 tie to get J.D. Vance to break the tie. That is not easy. And if the House continues to change the bill, then it goes back to the Senate and you might not get Murkowski to do that again. We gave $25 billion more to rural hospitals for Murkowski. At some point, you're going to just end up giving giveaways to every single U.S. senator and member of Congress to get this thing passed. So we're going to talk to Chip Roy about it. But I'm curious for those of you in the audience, what is the most important part of President Trump's agenda? Is it spending cuts? Is it deportations? What is the most important thing? We believe that you must rank things in order of importance. The hierarchy of needs, wants, interests, and desires. And we think the most important thing to the American project is mass deportations. Border plus deportations. All that other stuff matters. But it will do us no good if you balance the budget and you are a country of foreigners. That does you no good. Balancing the budget is critical. But deporting the alien invaders is even more important.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.